Pittsburgh Steelers cornerback Beanie Bishop could be on the outside looking in of a roster spot if he does impress against the Carolina Panthers. Bishop started the process as the starting slot cornerback, but after Jalen Ramsey came in, that changed things. Then, last week, Brandon Echols started playing as the backup slot cornerback over Bishop. So, what does the second-year West Virginia product need to do for a roster spot? Defensive coordinator Terrell Austin says splash plays have to come and Bishop is going to make the team. He's really going against some pretty good competition at the nickel now that you throw number 5, Jalen Ramsey, in there, and then you throw Brandon Echols in there, Austin said. He's really got to fight and work to make some splash to put himself in the picture. Bishop was the starting slot cornerback as an undrafted free agent last year, netting 3 interceptions over his first NFL season. He played a significant role on the team, and if he wants to make the group, that same splash has to bleed through once again. He's been working his tail off, Austin added. When you're not a starter, I think the biggest thing that's got to happen for you is all these preseason games are big because you have an opportunity to distance yourself from other people in gameplay. We see you in practice every day. We know what you do in practice, but how do you distance yourself in the game situation? Do you really show up on game day? So, these preseason games are going to be big for Beanie in the sense that he's got one left to show us good stuff, and I'm sure he will give it his all. Bishop was a low-rated recruit coming out of Louisville that had to work his way up to West Virginia. When he was an undrafted free agent, that only strengthened Bishop's resolve to never forget his past. I've always been doubted, so I'm always hungry to keep proving myself, Bishop said. Bishop looked a bit different too. He was a leaner, more explosive version of himself. He spent his entire offseason in Pittsburgh working with the Steelers' strength and conditioning staff to rework his body. His diet changed, too, so he could drop the fat. As the 2025 NFL preseason slowly comes to a close, roster battles around the league are heating up in a big way. Time is running out for those on the outside looking in to make lasting impressions. The Pittsburgh Steelers have one particular player who seems to be stuck in the middle. Despite his meteoric rise just a season ago, it's unclear what role cornerback Beanie Bishop will have on this year's team. Heck, it isn't a foregone conclusion that he'll even make the team. The Steelers have an abundance of depth and evaluating to do as far as the secondary is concerned. Defensive coordinator Terrell Austin's work is cut out for him entering Thursday's preseason finale against the Carolina Panthers. Steelers' favorite Beanie Bishop not being guaranteed a roster spot. Speaking to the media on Monday, Austin dove into where Bishop fits into the secondary. Unfortunately, it wasn't a clear-cut response. Well, where Beanie fits in is he's really going against some pretty good competition now at the nickel when you throw number 5, Jalen Ramsey, in there, and then you throw Brandon Echols in there. He's really got to fight and work to make some splash, to put himself in the picture. He's been working his tail off, and like everybody, when you're not a starter, the biggest thing that's got to happen for you is all these preseason games are big because you have an opportunity to distance yourself from some other people in gameplay. We see you in practice every day. We know what you do in practice, but how do you distance yourself in the game situation? Do you really show up on game day? So, these preseason games are going to be big for Beanie in a sense of he's got one left to show us some good stuff, and I'm sure he will. He'll give it his all. It's a foregone conclusion that if he makes the roster, Bishop won't hold the same role he did in 2024. Bursting onto the scene as an undrafted free agent, he logged 548 defensive snaps. In those opportunities, he recorded 7 pass breakups and 4 interceptions. It was a successful debut campaign for a steal of a pickup. Things are different now, though, as highlighted by the trade for Ramsey and the signing of Echols. Bishop went from a starter as a slot corner to a backup at best. His 43 snaps in the Steelers' preseason loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers further prove that. Although it isn't Bishop's fault, this is his new reality. New-look Pittsburgh secondary eyeing rebound in 2025-26. Ramsey and Echols aren't the only factors in this equation either. This offseason, the Steelers signed veteran Darius Slay Jr. to be another stabilizing presence at cornerback. In order to help offset the loss of Minkah Fitzpatrick at safety, the duo of Juan Thornhill and Chuck Clark was acquired. From a pure numbers perspective, the volume maintains a level of competitiveness. The only things working in Bishop's favor from a personnel standpoint are Corey Trice Jr. and Dante Kent being banged up. That's given him some runway. In 2 games of preseason action, Bishop has recorded respective Pro Football Focus coverage grades of 80.4 and 87.3. While his subsequent opportunities may dwindle, the ones he's had thus far in August are tremendous. It's clear that the Steelers wanted to see improvement in the secondary. Last year, their number 13 ranking in EPA/pass surrendered, per Sumer Sports, was deceiving. A projected excellent pass rush should help raise both the floor and ceiling moving forward. Concerns about the age of Slay and Ramsey remain on the back end, but the talent is there. Thursday is a big night for several players, and Bishop is certainly included. Whether it's fair or not, he has so much hanging in the balance. There are many reasons we can point to in our effort to explain why the Jacksonville Jaguars struggled in 2024. Trevor Lawrence's health and inconsistency come to mind. Similarly, the Jags had a struggling offensive line that couldn't run block well enough to pick up a few yards, and the odd decision to rotate defensive linemen so much that defensive ends Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen were off the field more than they should have been, not to mention moving defensive tackle Arik Armstead to the outside. However, there were fewer bad decisions quite as bad as the free agent signing of former Buffalo Bills wide receiver Gabe Davis. Of course, it's always risky to tap the free agency market for aging talent. You're going to overpay, and it's a roll of the dice as to what you get. At the time, Davis was still 25 years old and still considered in his prime. The signing didn't look so bad when it happened. In retrospect, not only is this single signing indicative of the larger problems the Jaguars faced last year, namely, a series of failed signings by Trent Baalke, but it cost the team over $20 million in dead cap space. Former Jaguars WR Gabe Davis meets with the Steelers again. With Aaron Rodgers now in a Pittsburgh uniform, the Steelers are trying to shore up the roster around him. The former Bills and Jaguars wide receiver already met with the Steelers once this offseason back in June, when the still-injured Davis was meeting with multiple teams as he tried to find a home after being cut from the Jaguars. While they didn't close a deal then, the Steelers have brought him back for a second round of talks, per ESPN's Adam Schefter. Former Jaguars and Bills WR Gabe Davis is flying back to Pittsburgh today and is scheduled to visit the Steelers on Tuesday for a second time this offseason, per source. Steelers continue seeking WR help. As we mentioned, Davis spent last season with the Jaguars, where he played only 10 games before being injured. The results? 20 receptions for 239 yards. If we do the math, that's nearly $1 million per catch and over $100,000 per yard. Davis was guaranteed $24 million for his contract. That's wild. Final thoughts. Perhaps Davis's abysmal time in Jacksonville was due more to the plethora of issues surrounding the team. Or maybe his performance never warranted such a contract in the first place. Given that Davis still hasn't found a home, I'm leaning toward the latter.